Welcome back to the Bulletin. It is Business Live. We want to begin with a story that is developing. The Ghana Liquefied Petroleum Gas Operators Association has declared a nationwide strike from today. Members are said to have closed their service stations to consumers over government's insistence on implementing the proposed cylinder recirculation policy. The association claims government failed to involve its members in consultation ahead of the implementation. The gas operators recently held a press conference in Kumasi. We want to bring that to you, where they gave government 2 weeks to rescind its decision on the policy. Leadership wants safety mechanisms improved instead of introducing the cylinder recirculation. Togbe Ada Kuvi is the 5th national president.
So we are waiting for 3 days now. We heard nothing from the authorities. So, as they're not telling us anything, the whole nation is going on strike. They'll not be selling gas again. The drivers will also go on strike. They'll not be loading again. And the people who want to do piloting in Obuasi, that brought about this strike. Up till now, you have heard nothing about it. So we are going national from now.
Well, the association also wants authorities to desist from approaching its members for the purpose of using their facilities for piloting the scheme. Let's hear from Togbe Ada Kuvi, who suggests the original concept of the cylinder recirculation has been abused.
From the people who want to do piloting in Obuasi, that brought about this strike. Up till now, you have heard nothing about it. So we are going national from now. In the first place, the CRM, what is it about? Where did it come from? They say penetration of LPG and safety of LPG. Penetration and safety. And this came from United Nations, 2012. They want the RAF folks to use gas. There was some money attached to it. So the RAF folks will have access to free stoves. It would benefit some of the operators also. But unfortunately, they lied in the application. So when the United Nations man was with us, and he heard that what they said there was wrong, they cut immediately, 2012. So 2015, they brought it back, and the money even rose up to $360 million or so. If you like, don't quote the money. The money rose up higher. And this was addressed at the head office of Energy Commission. Instead of letting this money and this policy to benefit the rural folks, some people want to take this money for themselves, for their benefits. Here they say they have misconstrued the whole thing, misdirected the policy, that is CRM. So they use that money to build stations for themselves and their cronies, and then make us their slaves. So 2015, after the meeting, they heard. We told them we don't want it. They heard it.
Togbe Ada Kuvi the 5th, he is national president of Gas Liquefied Petroleum Gas Operators Association. Let's go live now to Kumasi, where my colleague Nana Sensuman of Love FM is standing by. He has been monitoring the effectiveness of this strike. Before we talk about the impact, let's first talk about how these gas operators are different from the LPG marketers.
Hello, Dario.
Yes, so I was asking if you could help us understand who these gas operators are and how different they are from the LPG marketers.
Okay, Dario, thank you very much. The LPG gas operators, they are the owners of the various outlets, that is the LPG outlets that sell the product to the customers. And then the marketers are also in the same business. There isn't a clear difference between them. There are different associations within the bottom part of the oil value chain. So this particular situation is the Ghana Liquefied Petroleum Gas Operators. They have declared the nationwide strike. So we can't. There's a thin line between the aftermarketers and the big association, Daryl.
But really, how effective has the strike been today?
Daryl, they declared the strike yesterday, and then for Kumasi, the strike started somewhere on Monday. But the team we have done some monitoring. We started monitoring the whole situation from this morning. We've been to 3 outlets in Kumasi, but all the outlets that we visited, Daryl, they are all, selling the product to the customers. Business is flowing. We monitored for like a couple of hours. Business is flowing, even though the strike has been declared, but business is flowing at the various outlets that we visited. We visited one at Aloga Junction, one at Akwai, and one at Kwadaso. They are all in business. Actually, we didn't meet the managers at the various outlets, but we spoke to some operators, and then they are saying that one is not aware of the outlet that we spoke with is not aware of the strike action. So he said he's not aware, but the 2 that we spoke with, they are aware, but they say that the demand is there, so they can't help it. They just have to sell the product to their customers, even though their leadership has declared the strike action.
All right. So clearly, the members that define the orders of the national president or the association, for that matter. Thank you very much indeed, Nana Sensu-Mensah. We'll be checking with the executives of the Gas Operators Association to find out what they have to say about this. But for the meantime, thank you. Let's move on to other stories tonight. Senior Minister Yaw Osafo-Maafo says calls by some Ghanaian retail traders to drive out their foreign counterparts from the local retail market will be inimical to the development of the economy. According to him, it's rather an opportunity for Ghanaians to also tap into the huge foreign markets to make some gains. He was speaking at the final day of the National Conference on the implementation of the Continental Free Trade Agreement in Accra.
As we listen to Ghanaians, as we listen to our contributors, people are worried about people getting into their market. People are worried about competition. But is the Nigerian market not bigger than your market? You are also enabled and allowed to get into the Nigerian market, which is about 200 million. So we should not be looking at this as freeing others to take your market, because other markets are also being made available to you. People are asking for protection from government, from competition. We should not approach it that way. We should make sure that the government provide policies which make Ghanaian production competitive. In most countries, power for domestic use is more expensive than industrial use. In Ghana, it's the reverse. It is these things that we should try to change so that we make our industry competitive. We should put pressure on government to provide policies that will make our production very, very competitive and cheaper.
All right, so the Senior Minister Yaw Osafo-Maafo talking about the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Now, with free movement of people and goods being key to regional trade, airlines are stressing the need for implementation of open skies policy to reduce impediments to cross-border trade. This is expected to enhance economic gains under the Continental Free Trade Agreement. Country manager for international airline ASKY notes that full benefits of the agreement can only be harnessed by ensuring free movement in the air.
Under the African African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement member countries must commit to removing tariffs on at least 90% of the goods they produce, as well as encourage free movement of persons and goods across borders with the aim of increasing intra-Africa trade. But despite the compelling fact of having free movement, airlines note there are restrictions. Speaking to Joy Business, the country manager for ASKI, Wolanyo Afajinu, said it's about time governments implemented the Open Skies policy under the Single African Air Transport Market.
It is the desire of every businessman to have free movement. Now, for us to have a free trade agreement, we need to open up the skies. If the skies are not open for the airlines to operate freely and move passengers around freely, definitely there's going to be restrictions to these free activities that we are looking at. So I think that the airspace should be open freely. There are documents that have been signed indicating that these are being done, but operationally it is not. So there should be the opening of airspaces where airlines can freely operate within the region and be able to promote the businesses that we require.
Head of Commercial for Africa World Airlines added his voice to the call, stressing it's key for airlines to expand their business.
We believe that this is going to boost traffic within our network, and it's a good thing. It's a very good step that governments have taken. We believe that at the end of the day, I think taxes within the sub-regions have to be reduced, and that is very critical, because if you still have the said imposed taxes, which is very high, you will still have limited flows of traffic. Again, SATAM, which is the Single African Air Transport Market, which will help domesticize all the African markets as one, needs to be implemented. We know that out of 54 countries, 23 have given their consent to this, and we are waiting for the implementation. What we want to tell authorities is that they do not wait for all 54 to sign. The 23 that have signed, we should start the implementation, and once they see the needed benefits and they are seeing the returns, the others will join.
For Joy Business, Sheila Tamaklo reporting.
While still on the subject of continental trade, President and CEO of the Whitaker Group, Rosa Whitaker Duncan Williams, has said Ghana being chosen to host the Secretariat means so much for the country. She was speaking at a dinner organized for some African Americans as part of activities marking the year of return. Feduo was there and reports.
Dinner was organized by the National Association of Advanced Colored People in Accra to honor a section of African Americans who visited Ghana as part of activities marking the year of return. President and CEO of the Whitaker Group, Mrs. Rosa Whitaker Duncan Williams, in an interview stated that it means so much for Ghana to host the African Continental Free Trade Secretariat.
Anybody who's been in business understands the business cycle and understands change. And sometimes change can be turbulent, but if at the end of the day, if it's undergirded by a strong vision, it'll work. And I don't think you'll talk to people who are fearful, especially in the African American community. We are a very resilient people. We have people who've been through a lot. So when you meet African American business leaders, you should know that they've had to do a lot to get there. And I think that the Continental African Free Trade Agreement is one of the most significant things to happen on the continent this century. Because one of the reasons why we're dealing with such poverty, lack of trade, lack of infrastructure, is the balkanization of the region.
Mrs. Duncan Williams said the coming of African Americans into the country is a potential avenue for investment in the continent, as the net worth of their population amounts to over $1.3 trillion.
If the African American community, and if it were a country, it would be the 46th largest economy in the world. And you're talking about a group of people who very much want to be connected to the homeland. You're talking about a group of people with a spending power of $1.3 trillion. So just can imagine if we can really construct those bridges and have them connect here in terms of spending and business. These are mutually beneficial partnerships.
Former Trade Minister Dr. Ekospio Gabra expressed optimism that the Year of Return initiative, though not new to Ghana, will boost the economy, as these foreign investors are likely to be attracted by initiatives like the One District One Factory program.
We are looking for high quality people, whether African Americans or others, who would bring in their money, their knowledge, their technology, and their skills to help develop our country. So if they come and they want to join the one district, one factory business, or they know how to dig dams, to have one village, one dam, or any other things that the government is promoting, and they can become part of it, I think that would be very helpful to the economy of this country. They can create jobs and not just link with us culturally and socially and through music and entertainment, but they can also bring to bear some of the American dollars that I think Ghanaians need to generate employment.
Some participants also shared their thoughts with Joy Business.
We want to find out the education systems and try to support our kids at schools and going on to university, and to give them more opportunities to, have to learn about things, and to, like I said, bridge the gap between the U.S. and our African nations.
Fred Duho's report for Joy Business.
Well, time to bring you one of our top stories tonight. Traders whose products were seized at the Central Business District of Accra say port officials are partly to blame for beverages without tax stamps. This follows an operation by the Excise Tax Stamp Compliance Team, which led to the seizure of more than 1,000 cartons of products from the market. Here's Ebenezer Sabote's report read to you.
Officials stormed the Central Business District of Accra on Thursday morning with the aid of the new mobile application known as the Tax Authenticator. This bulk distribution center, which deals in many beverages, was the first to be visited by the GRA's task force. Many of the products there did not have the excise tax stamp affixed on them. After interrogation, the products were confiscated by the team for further investigation. One of the dealers told Joy Business that the goods passed through the Tema port under the surveillance of port and immigration officials. Hence, products without stamps cannot be blamed on them.
From Tema port, I know very well that before your goods will come out, because custom people are there, immigration people are there. So before your goods will come out from Tema port, they will cross-check everything. So that is why I received the goods.
But did you tell him that there's supposed to be stamp on them before bringing them?
Yeah, that is why I said it's not me who received the goods. It's my workers who received the goods. So now that I come to cross-check where the GRA people come.
Head of the GRA task force, Kwabena Ampao, explains that the compliance team will hand over the case to the Commissioner General, who will determine the penalty to be paid.
Why the products are without the stamps, the Commissioner General then takes a decision on it. So the seizure notices will be issued to them, and then we will ask them to apply to the Commissioner General, and the Commissioner General will take a decision on it. In the past, goods that we have seized, many people have applied for restoration, and the Commissioner General has granted that the goods should be restored to them upon the payment of penalty or fine. And in most instances, they pay for now 200% of the duties and taxes involved. But looking at the situation, we can escalate it to 300%. And even some of them will be prosecuted because people don't want to move away from this practice. We have been here on several occasions, and anytime we come here, we find products without the stamps, and that is not something that is encouraging.
The other shops visited by the team had similar issues, with many of the products without the tax stamps affixed on them. Ebenezer Sabote's reports for Joy Business.
Young, talented and adventurous, that's the description of the budding engineers you're about to see next, who are defying the odds to venture into robotics outside the normal classroom theory. Now, one of them, Maui Nefia, a 15-year-old junior high school student who has developed a ferry tested on the Volta Lake, joined the National Society of Black Engineers for an exhibition. Fred Duho has the rest of the story.
Their ages, location and poor living conditions are not serving as a barrier to the imagination, creativity and ambition of 15-year-old Nosi Maunyafia, who aspires to become an engineer in the near future. From Labo Labo, a farming community in the eastern region, Maunyafia did not hold back his ambition to invent a makeshift ferry which he has experimented on the Volta Lake. His teacher Gilbert Kodo tells us Maunyafia got him marveled when he first presented drawing of the ferry in a book. He consequently encouraged him to convert his imagination into reality.
I asked him to go and bring what he can do for me to see. And he came out with this wonderful model. In fact, I was marveled. So I helped him to get the idea about the scientific principles behind what he has done.
Maunefia tells Joy Business his idea was born out of proximity to the Volta Lake. Maunefia got pieces of roofing sheets, nails, and other accessories, and in a few days was ready with a model of a ferry for presentation at his school's exhibition program. At the 12th National Society of Black Engineers Ghana International Conference and exhibition held in Accra, Maunefia joined other young engineers to exhibit their talents. Jata Michael and Emmanuel Senyadoke, both of Presec Legon Senior High School, who also jointly invented a miniature car, were optimistic that they could do more if they get timely sponsorship from government. Their long-term ambition is to build sophisticated electrical cars.
If we find a way for drivers who under certain conditions are unable to make certain decisions that could save their lives, if these decisions could be made by the car instantly when the situation happens without the driver having to respond, it will be able to save a lot of lives. We bought this on the net. Okay. Yeah, so we assembled the parts and to make this boat.
Smartphone, you can easily switch on your outside bulb. You don't need to use a normal switch. You just use your phone to switch them on.
4, 5, as you can see, 5. Then you press enter. So it's a place finger now. So I go for here. So remove finger, place finger again. So now it is stuck. So let's try to open the door if it will access me.
The Executive Director of National Black Engineers Ghana, Abdullah Imoro, urged government to turn its attention to these children to enhance their development.
In our conferences, we try to get the government support and other stakeholders, because it is about time that we give this case attention. You can see the marvelous work that they are doing. Just like last year, we had Methodist girls from Koforidua area attending, and they had opportunity to participate in the World Robotics Competition and won it and beat countries like US, Japan, Canada, and others. So you can imagine if they get so much support in whatever that they are doing, they can really be the future leaders of this country and help industrialize the country that we all need for economic prosperity and development. Apart from, I think, Kwame Nkrumah, who plays much premium on science and technology, we can still see his footprints, Akosombo Dam and others. But the successive government have failed us. They haven't really given relevance to science and technology.
Calvin Young is an advisor to National Society of Black Engineers in the United States of America.
We see students who are excited and exposed to engineering, who want to be engineers, who understand how engineers affect everything in life, from when you wake up and brush your teeth and turn on a light to when you get in your car. And these students are going to be our future. They're going to be the future of building, continuing to build the infrastructure in Ghana. But more importantly, they're going to be the future of Africa and the world.
Fred DeHo's report for Joy Business.
Very cool stuff, and that's our program tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Carl. There's more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching.